One of the things you sort of sense as soon as you come on base is how real the threat is.
Absolutely. And what we do here specifically is we are trained day in, day out to be fight tonight ready, as we say it.
The thermonuclear war may break out at any moment.
Concerns are mounting over the possibility of fresh provocations by North Korea as Pyongyang commemorates a key date on its political calendar today. Today marks the 72nd anniversary of the founding of the Korean Workers' Party, and analysts say the regime could mark the occasion with yet another ICBM test. The North could be planning to do just that in the coming weeks, if not today, according to Anton Mozorov, a member of Russia's parliament who recently visited Pyongyang. He said the rogue state is planning another launch of the Hwasong-14 ICBM, which was tested twice in July and is theoretically capable of reaching the U.S. West Coast.
South Korea and the United States are wrapping up their annual joint military exercises today. The 11-day defense drill called Uchi Freedom Guardian, or UFG, began last Monday on the peninsula. North Korea has made threats against Seoul and Washington's joint exercises in the past, and on Tuesday, as we've been talking about, it did fire that intermediate-range ballistic missile over Japan, claiming that it was a show of force against the drills. This year's UFG exercises involve some 50,000 South Korean and 17,500 US troops, along with some 3,000 UN command forces from 7 different nations.
The thermonuclear war may break out at any moment.
We'll be conducting more missile tests on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. With tensions on the rise, ABC News was granted rare access to the men and women on the front lines.
Everything that's flying right now, these guys are managing.
Yes, ma'am.
All eyes now on the peninsula and this latest and perhaps biggest foreign policy test.
This is really the first time since 1953 that any U.S. president has escalated the relationship and the tension with North Korea to a degree that something has to be resolved.
And if North Korea pulls the trigger, this is likely target number 1. Osan Air Base, just 48 miles from North Korea, well within range of Kim Jong-un's existing arsenal of missiles, carrying God knows what.
So a hardened bunker, this is serious stuff.
Yes, ma'am. This is your 3rd set of blast doors here.
The first line of defense is always on guard. 24/7. F-16s on constant patrol, anti-missile batteries primed and ready. Behind these concrete walls and steel doors, the top secret and rarely seen operations center.
I'll do check-in here.
On high alert, watching for any North Korean missile activity.
We live with it every day. The nice thing is for my folks, the mission is staring them in the face.
They're monitoring the possibility that one day one of those missiles could reach as far away as the west coast of the United States.
Once they're able to range and to hit targets within the continental 48, it now becomes an American problem. What used to be a regional or a Korean problem has now marched across the Pacific and become an American problem.
U.S. President Donald Trump sat down with his top defense officials to discuss the best way to deal with North Korea. Prior to that, a combined drill involving B-1B bombers was carried out overnight. Kim Hyun-bin zooms in on the developments following the controversial leader's latest remarks that kept the world in suspense.
U.S. President Donald Trump met with his top defense officials on Tuesday to be briefed on North Korea options. The White House said in a statement that Trump was briefed by Secretary of Defense James Mattis and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Joseph Dunford during a National Security Team meeting. The statement added that the discussion focused on the range of options to better prevent North Korea from threatening the U.S. and its allies with nuclear weapons. The White House did not give details of the options, but many experts believe that military options were among the list. In related news, the U.S. flew 2 B-1B strategic bombers over the Korean peninsula late Tuesday in a show of force against North Korea. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff say the bombers flew from Andersen Air Force Base in Guam and entered the Korean Air Defense Identification Zone at around 8:50 p.m. Joined by South Korean F-15K fighters, the B-1B simulated air-to-ground missile firing over the East Sea. The South Korean military added that the regular deployment training is aimed at enhancing extended deterrence capabilities against North Korea. Late last month, the U.S. flew B-1Bs over international waters close to North Korea's east coast. A U.S. nuclear submarine also arrived in South Korea last weekend as part of its regional deployment. U.S. Pacific Command said on Wednesday that the USS Tucson made a port call on Saturday in the southeastern port of Chinhae. PACOM did not specify when the Tucson will return to its home base.
The slogan here, "Fight Tonight," and you hear it often and always with a sense of pride.
There aren't many places I go into where it says "Fight Tonight" in giant letters. It's a little frightening.
For us, it's our day-to-day training. We're always training at that level to be able to fight tonight because we don't know when that call is going to come.
About 4 stories underground. The operations center is survivable against some of the high explosive blast. That's why we're so deep.
We visited another top-secret facility, the first time ever for a camera crew. If a missile is aimed at South Korea, the job here, blow it out of the sky. North Korea has conducted 5 underground nuclear tests in the last 10 years. But missile launches are far more common, several this year alone. Everyone closely monitored on these screens, including failed launches.
What's it like in here when a ballistic missile is launched?
Well, you would think it would be hectic, but due to the level of training of the soldiers here, it's actually a pretty calm exercise. I would compare it to maybe an air traffic controller tower.
Right next door, rows and rows of bunk beds. If war comes to South Korea, the staff will sleep right here.
You got food, you got everything you need.
We have food, showers, latrines.
Lieutenant General Thomas Burgesson is deputy commander of all U.S. and UN forces in South Korea.
What concerns you most?
So our biggest concern is that he's going to miscalculate. That's always the number one concern. So we want to make it crystal clear to the North Korean leadership that this would be a completely futile endeavor for you to challenge this strong, ironclad bilateral alliance.
Because we have a new president, and he, no doubt, Kim Jong-un wants to test him in the same way that dynamic works. Is this, from your time here, from watching here, one of the more dangerous times?
I would say that there's certainly, you can feel the tensions, but clearly this is serious. And they need to know that we are prepared and that this defensive alliance is strong and ready to fight tonight.
Part of that defense, Patriot missile batteries.
And you'll notice here in Korea, we keep our launchers loaded with live interceptors at all times, so that we're ready to fight tonight.
Tell me a little bit about the batteries, just in terms of what they can stop, how they stop them, how that works.
Yes, ma'am. Well, this weapon system is capable of defeating a wide range of enemy capabilities, from unmanned aerial systems to short-range and even long-range ballistic missiles. This battery is designed to search for, detect, and engage those inbound ballistic missiles.
At Osan, they're confident in this system, claiming the success rate of the Patriot is nearly 100%.
And it's a bullet-on-bullet scenario where the Patriot missile hits the threat missile and destroys it.
Far less successful, the recent North Korean missile tests, causing some to speculate the U.S. might be responsible for the rash of missile launch failures bedeviling the North Koreans, perhaps using cyber warfare. No proof of that, and no comment from the White House.
These are delaying tactics. These are not going to stop the North Korean missile program. They're not going to stop the nuclear program.
A few miles from the Patriots, out on the flight line, are the Growlers.
So they have jamming capability, electronic jamming capability, so they can deny the enemy the capability to launch surface-to-air missiles at our aircraft.
Well, as far as the mission goes,
facing the ever-present threat from North Korea, Major Sean Walsh up in the skies training at least 3 times a week, often near that prohibited area close to North Korea.
the other night I was up there on Monday night, just around sunset, And you get to see the stark contrast, because as the lights start to come on and you fly along the DMZ, you can look out one window and it's as bright as day with the city of Seoul and then all of South Korea. And then you look out the other side of your cockpit and it is just dark.
Against the drills, this year's UFG exercises involved some 50,000 South Korean and 17,500 US troops, along with some 3,000 UN command forces from 7 different nations.
The thermonuclear war may break out at any moment.
One of the things you sort of sense as soon as you come on base is how real the threat is.
Absolutely. And what we do here specifically is we are trained day in, day out to be fight tonight ready, as we say it.
The thermonuclear war may break out at any moment.
Military exercises today, the 11-day defense drill called Ulchi Freedom Guardian, or UFG, began last Monday on the peninsula. North Korea has made threats against Seoul and Washington's joint exercises in the past, and on Tuesday, as we've been talking about, it did fire that intermediate-range ballistic missile over Japan, claiming that it was a show of force.
According to Anton Mozorov, a member of Russia's parliament who recently visited Pyongyang. He said the rogue state is planning another launch of the Hwasong-14 ICBM, which was tested twice in July and is theoretically capable of reaching the U.S. West Coast.
South Korea and the United States are wrapping up their annual joint.
Concerns are mounting over the possibility of fresh provocations by North Korea as Pyongyang commemorates a key date on its political calendar today. Today marks the 72nd anniversary of the founding of the Korean Workers' Party, and analysts say the regime could mark the occasion with yet another ICBM test. The North could be planning to do just that in the coming weeks, if not today, according